Welcome everyone to a very surprising episode of Good Morning Vietnam. And it is a very early morning in Vietnam, I know. I'm very sorry. We are in Europe and the episode is gonna be on YouTube in no time. So if you've missed it, well, then you're watching now and I'm talking to no one. So great. I filled the first minute of the podcast with nothing. But I'm super happy to introduce my two co-hosts, I guess, today. Milky, for your reappearance on the podcast, and for the first time ever in video land of the VCS English side, even though, of course, Bees has been a huge contributor in the stats side of things, and in chats and so on. It's Bees today. So, how are you tonight?
Pretty good. First time on the podcast, so first time on the stream as well, so looking forward to it.
I'm doing well your way. As I've done more and more stuff with VCS, I'm getting more and more comfortable, and that means that I'm chatting more and more shit over the course of like every single broadcast as I get further into my career.
I mean, I'm already preparing myself, bracing myself for the Milky opinions, because I've seen a glimpse of them discussed in our private Discord, and oh boy, it's coming, people. But
This is just what happens when I have two smart people alongside me, and then, well, me.
right
Has
in the
to
middle,
be balanced out somehow.
exactly. So, where do we start? There's so much has been going on. We have been a little bit quiet over the off season, I guess, because we had a lot of stuff to sort out. We had to follow SGB's trajectory, keep track of Gum's domination. Beast, do you happen to know? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but do you happen to know the average game time over in C games? It must be under 20 minutes, right?
Well, Gam never took a Baron, so I'm gonna guess about 18. I don't actually know, but that's the most dominant any team has ever been in any tournament, hands down. Not even a question.
Well, that happened too. And there was the huge patch, so there's a lot to unpack, but we should start with the most important part, and that is who's actually gonna play this weekend and the following weekends. Because VCS is starting strong 4 days a week again, and we have two new teams, Milky. Two teams we didn't really think would join our league. Everyone told us VCSB teams are horrible, they have no chance whatsoever, and then suddenly they just smashed everyone from the VCSA. Team Flash is dead, they're very successful over in Wild Rift, so I guess they can live on there, but their VCS team is gone. After being two-time champions, they're out of the league, and so is Burst the Sky. So we have two completely new teams, and Milky, I'll throw to you first. Take one of the two teams, whatever you prefer, and tell me about them.
So I'm going to head on over to Genius Esports because I quite like what they've done. I quite like what we're seeing from them. They've picked up a couple of the old players from the team that was formerly called Luxury. They've had a name change. We'll get onto that later. But they've picked up Coated and Blaze as the top laner and mid laner, respectively. They've also picked up a Slader as well, coming in from Flash, a team that did get sadly relegated. I say sadly, I don't know whether it is sad, because it has been that Genius have now joined us. And then we've got a couple of rookies in the form of Yijin and Bisbo. So a mixture of veterancy and a mixture of new blood. So I'm quite hopeful.
Milky.
Yes, we both reacted there.
Oh no!
Are you trolling,
no.
or was that genuine?
Not a rookie, I'm afraid. He has already won VCS before. He is coming back into the league, but he isn't a rookie. So while Milky wallows in his sorrow, I'll go for the other new team.
The one player that I didn't research on, and it turns out it's a veteran.
Oh, of course.
It's a multi-time champion. He has been to MSI.
Look, it was before I started casting on the VCS, okay? I don't do history.
So AFC is the opposite end of the spectrum. They do have a lot of rookies. They have an entire rookie top side, although they do have 2T in the mid lane as well as their rookie mid laner. But a lot of their power this split's going to come from their bot lane. Both former GAN players, EasyLove and Xin. And Xin is an ADC role swap, so I'm expecting to see some good Senna from Xin. And EasyLove was playing Swain before the Swain rework. This guy is going to be playing Swain Senna and I predict it in the first week.
Yeah, their team looks interesting. Is LLT not LL?
No, LLT is
interesting.
not LL, I believe. After the Eugen moment, I might check that.
I
But I
assumed
believe he is a
LLT was
rookie.
just a rename. Okay. We definitely have younger players on this roster. Hyo, young rookies, young rookie junglers, excuse me. Always very interesting to follow in the VCS, traditionally the strongest role in our league. I am not super fond of Easy Love, I have to admit. He has always been
But
low on my estimation, but I love Zin, so I'm happy about that.
Yulwei, he's so easy to love, though.
Ah.
Don't worry, there's going to be plenty more of those terrible jokes to come through over the course of this
I mean, there has to be one reason for you to be on here, right? So,
yeah.
certainly not the knowledge of players, as we've already established.
And then we have our 2.5 teams that are new with Team Wales. They're not really new. They are buying in from Luxury Spot, but their roster is pretty much entirely new. They've retained Killer Queen, but basically everything else has changed. They've got Nagia from Team Secret's bench. They've got Ariety and CBL, who have both made VCS finals, but are coming off down splits. Ariety on the bench, and CBL, honestly, I can't remember. He was invisible last split. He might have been playing. He might not have been. I have forgotten. And then mid lane, they do have Glory from Burst the Sky, and he did look like Burst the Sky's best player, so I'm very happy that he's staying in the league. And this roster probably is 8th, but I could see this team getting all the way to playoffs if it really pops off. But our playoffs do look really strong this split. We have 5, honestly, really good teams, so...
Yeah, let's go into like power rankings predictions a little bit later. I want to stay on Wales for a second. I think we're going to talk about the two new teams when they play. We don't really know much. Maybe we should go back to Genius later when we talk about the power rankings again. I don't think we can expect much from ASE, just looking at their roster. But Wales kind of strikes me as one of those teams with a lot of money buying into LEC and LCS back in the day. For example, maybe a little bit like what Mortals did when they came in, because a lot of the super high profile players like Bjergsen and Doublelift and so on were on different teams. They couldn't really get them, but they still had a lot of money to spend, so they went on this weird buying tour, trying to get as many good players and trying to build a decent team of all the best players from bad teams. So I'm quite excited to see how they play together. Killer Queen Glory would be an interesting combination. Variety CBL, hopefully they can come back to some form. Nagia is, I'm not super sure. Milky, what's your take on these players?
So, I just want to remind everyone that Team Wales was formerly Luxury. This is the team that finished in playoffs in winter 21 alongside Burst Sky, where they both got into playoffs, and we were all like, that wasn't part of the script. That wasn't supposed to happen. They then had a very off spring split, and the main reason for that, kind of looking at it, was Killer Queen. And Killer Queen is so incredibly aggressive, and everything just failed for him. Every time he'd go for an aggressive play, it wasn't working, and I kind of put a little bit of that down to what was happening with the solo laners. Both of those solo laners have changed, so I think that Killer Queen's going to be in his element again, especially with someone as good as Glory alongside, who was phenomenal for Burst Sky in winter and played very well for them, I think, in spring, despite the team kind of crumbling around him.
Yeah. It is a big question mark, basically. The question mark of the team. There's a lot of potential. I see the most potential in mid and jungle, which is probably the most important part of at least the VCS team. I'd argue ADC is also a very important position right now. Variety, traditionally very flexible, able to play mages, able to play bot lane Darius. So maybe he comes back to form and brings us some Swain, some Seraphine, some Senna.
let's not also forget as well. Arrietty was on that Saigon Buffalo team that made it to finals in 2021.
Yeah, very very true. I liked him as a player. He wasn't the star ADC that Shogun is. He wasn't the hyper carry ADC that Shogun is. But maybe this season brings a change. Because we are gone are the days of Aphelios and Jinx every day, right? We see a lot of variety down in the bot lane, so maybe it's time for variety to strike again. And CBL, Beast, you mentioned his glory days are kind of past as well. I have a soft spot for him, but I'm skeptical. There's so many good supports, Suhao, Taki, even Zin comes to mind, Rono PB, all of these supports. It's a very strong position nowadays in VCS, so I'm not entirely sure CBL.
I think your point about CBL there, that all these teams are so good and all these supports are so good, are true for teams as well. Like this roster, any other year, this is a playoffs easy, slam dunk, done, go home. They're in top 4. But then you look at their competition, this split, GAM's gone. GAM's probably winning the split. GAM's in playoffs. SGB looked competitive internationally. They're going to get top 4, right? That's fair enough. SBTC, Dear One's coming back, so that team's probably going to be top 4. Cerberus is Cerberus. They won Winter Split, and that team should get top 4. And wait, we still have Secret, and they're not even... They're the 5th team I'm mentioning that should be top 4. So I'm not sure how power rankings are going to be, but other than GAM, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to have a different spot for all 4 of the others. They're all really competitive.
Honestly, that just sounds amazing to me. We already had so many competitive splits. Now, kind of in brackets, GAM is above everything, okay? But still, the rest was very exciting. So I'm hoping for an even more competitive split. Maybe not looking at GAM, but let's talk about GAM before we go into the players to watch, and then to end on a long discussion, maybe on the bigger power rankings. But Milky, I'll go to you first. As someone who is now casted 2 seasons of GAM, 3 seasons of GAM?
Yep.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
What do you say? Is there any chance they coast? They don't take it seriously? Because there's not much to accomplish domestically anymore, right? They went 14-0. They had the best ever record. They had the best win rate of all time in VCS. They smashed everything in their way. They won absolutely everything. They did lose a game in the finals, so maybe there's some improvement possible there. But there really isn't much for them to do, right? So how do you think it's gonna go in summer?
So I just want to start this off with something compulsory. We give our thanks to Lord Hankei, King of Draft for GAM, and we pray to him that he will finally lock in Elise for Levi so that Spoods, King of Production, can be happy and remove all pauses from the VCS. But with that said, I think GAM have done something really good because, hey, their entire team was on the All-Pro team. So they've all been playing really well. I think Carty had a rough start of Spring Split, but he kind of picked it up towards the end, and I think B almost took MVP of the split away from Kiai. He was playing so well in the bottom lane. And I think, well, I say I'm scared, but I think the world should be scared for GAM when they get to Worlds, because they're such a strong team. Saigon Buffalo couldn't hold a candle to them. No offense to Saigon Buffalo. They played well, but GAM were just one level above. And we hopefully, barring any weird scenarios, can see GAM at Worlds. I don't think there's anything that's stopping GAM this split. They look fantastic in spring, and I think it's going to be the same in summer.
So I know you have a lot to say about this. You have some secret information. I'm not sure how much you want to let on, but take it away. Give us whatever you want to talk about with GAM.
So the main thing for GAM is that they have done everything domestically. All of these players have won multiple splits now. I would have to think about that for Style, actually. Maybe that's for Style's first split win. But all these players have done everything in VCS. They've won the most dominant VCS split ever. All of these players are looking to Worlds. And we know B had a contract renewal this split. He only renewed for 6 months. And in fact, that means that all of the players on GAM have their contracts ending this split.
Ooh.
Every single one of these players are either looking for a big contract from another VCS team, going, please, we want to win, GAM can't hog everything, or they're looking to go international. So all of these players really have to get good footage that they can go, look, this is why you should sign me. I'm better than TSM Mia or anyone. No offense to TSM Mia, at least just the first person that came to mind. But a lot of these players are export caliber. None of these players would look out of place, never mind on a bottom LCS team, but on a top LCS team. And
Beast,
really,
are you requesting TSM Levi 2.0 Electric Boogaloo?
now, this is where I was about to say, TSM, hands off. Everyone else, go on. But TSM, we don't want the talent suppressed. Although we would like them back in VCS. So maybe take Levi, take Kiaya, and then they'll be back in a split once you've suppressed the talent in NA, and we'll be very happy.
Yeah, just a small correction, as Chad pointed out. Of course, Style already won last year in spring, or 2021 spring, so he's a two-time champion now. But
Yeah, I thought he was, just making sure.
Yeah, and there's definitely something to be said for his caliber being much, much higher this year. He was always the weak spot, the liability of GAM. We had the jokes about the duct tape over the bot lane part of the mini-map, and them winning despite of their bot lane. Now the bot lane is actually a huge strength. So, yeah, this team looks like there's almost no weakness, and personally, I think they are probably not gonna go for records again. I think they're going to try and incorporate Lisa, or is he Elio now? I always forget. He sometimes is Elio, sometimes he's Lisa. You know who I mean. Yeah, I think they're going to give him some time to maybe give him some games here and there. They're going to experiment with Seraphine, with other enchanters, maybe even with on Kiaya. So I think Henke is not surviving that draft afterwards. Kiaya does look scary. Not only in game.
Solo kill VCS as well. Let's not forget that. Man's a monster right now.
Yeah. So I personally think they're probably going something like 12-2, easily first place, but then taking some of the series a little bit more easily, and then yeah, just go into playoffs strong, finish the playoffs first. That's my trajectory for GAM. But what about our other international representative, SGB? We were super scared heading to MSI. Everyone was like, "Oh, we want GAM. We don't know about SGB. They were only 9-5. 9-5, I don't remember. They lost quite a lot of games. What's gonna happen? And I think after looking pretty bad at the start of Rumble phase, they actually played some very good games towards the end. Once the pressure was off, once they played more freely, they looked competitive with almost everyone. Milky, as a first-time VCS representative yourself, watching an international tournament with a VCS team, what's your feeling? Did they achieve what you thought they would achieve?
So I think there's only two things that need to be said here, and everything else is completely irrelevant. One, we solo killed Guma, Yushi, and Carrier.
That's bad.
Number two, we clapped LJL. What more do we need?
You've stolen all my points. How am I meant to say anything? Well, the other good thing to mention for VCS at MSI wasn't just that they beat LGL, but that they beat LGL in two really entertaining games. VCS has been gone for 2 years, so a lot of international fans, I've seen people go, what leagues are VCS? Where's VCS? Oh, Vietnam has a league? And they've announced themselves, and that was the worry, that they'd peter out, lose a really close game to LGL, and they'd come third, and it's unlucky, they are the second seed. We know VCS is better, but it's the second seed. That was a statement that VCS is back, and that wasn't even the first seed.
If I could feed off that as well, I feel like it's a similar situation to what we've seen in the past with other regions. So my mind goes to back when Fnatic made it to finals in, 2018, and even for the LJL when DFM made their Worlds run last year. I think once you get a tournament where a team, for us now, Saigon Buffalo, have done well, it essentially tells all of the other teams, if you can go toe-to-toe with this team, you will be solid at an international event. And I think that gives a lot of hope to not just teams, not just fans, but the players as well.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I was a little bit disappointed that they couldn't overcome their nerves at the start of the Rumble phase. It's understandable, but they played such great games in the group stage and then crumbled completely under the pressure once Rumble started, which was, I think it would have been possible for them to advance even. But maybe that's too much copium. We can never go back, but I think what they showed for the last 5 games was so much better. 1 or 2 more wins? Who knows? Maybe a tiebreaker would have been in store for us. Anyway, now they have to fight against GAM again to get to the Worlds. Luckily for them, they retained the second world spot for VCS, or so we assume, because why would they change the system? Doesn't make much sense. So we probably look at 2 teams for Worlds. But before we go to our rankings and projecting who those two, which of the teams are going to Worlds, GAM and someone else, most likely, I wanted to use the great segue talking about the style of the VCS to talk about the patch and all the disappointment that came from some of the fans, especially LCK and I believe LCS fans, that have to watch 30 minutes of 0 kills in a game. Milky, you've been keeping up with those games.
I've not been watching LCK and LPL. I've been watching a fair bit of LEC. To be honest, I just don't find the time to watch every single region, but I've been watching a lot of the LEC, and to be honest, I think a lot of the games have been still entertaining. I think they are definitely slower in the early stages of the game, but it's something that I was talking to Beast about before we came live, which is, yes, we've got a meta now where it's more late game scaling, but it's still the VCS. We're still going to be going gung-ho over every single Drake that ever existed.
And let me jump in with LCK, because you've mentioned that you've not watched it. Gen.G are currently first place in LCK. Their combined kills per minute is 0.61.
No.
Let me just double check that. Yes, 0.61. So this is literally a team that for every 3 minutes of play, there are 2 kills. And they're all in the late game team fights. I've watched an LCS game with a 25-minute first blood. Like, one of the stream titles for one of Dom's streams, I believe, I can't remember which of the podcasts it was, is LoL Esports is boring. What will Riot do? Riot will make people watch VCS for our 1 kill per minute. Not combined kill, just randomly there'll be a game in there with 1 kill from both teams per minute. And we'll be the region to spearhead the fun in League of Legends instead of the dry meta. We rotate to the dragon. Oh, we got a free dragon because we out-rotated them. Right, let's wait 5 minutes for the next dragon to stack. Oh, we have on top, so we're waiting for the next dragon. We don't want to fight either. And we'll have some random carries top lane. We mentioned ASC beforehand. In their game to get to VCS, the most important game any of these players have played, even the GAM players realistically, because you get into VCS and that's a year on your career. They played Ignite, Tristana top, and dove the tower at 3 minutes with LLT. Not a jungle gank, a 1v1 dive to deny the way from Gnar,
That's
knowing
what I like
it's
to
going
hear.
to go 1-for-1. So this region isn't going to be scared of, oh no, everyone's got 70 more health. That's 70 more DPM on the end of the game.
Very true. Yeah, honestly, there's no doubt in my mind that we are not going to see the changes. That was very badly put. I don't think the VCS is gonna adhere to these changes and be slower. Maybe the game time is gonna go up tiny bit, though actually game time hasn't changed in some of the leagues so much. LPL and LEC, I believe, are still in line with what they were. One of those leagues maybe even faster. I haven't checked all the times, but it was the case last week. So actually the game time, unless you're LCK, hasn't really gone up significantly. It's just the amount of kills. And with VCS averaging more than 1 in spring, I think we are definitely going to stay north of 1 or very close to 1, while games are going to be finished at 28, 29 minutes. Maybe there's going to be a little bit of a change in GAM, because I believe Hankei would be the kind of person to try and reel in some of the aggression a little bit more. We've already seen a change towards more, not really less aggression, but less useless aggression, I guess. More purposeful or resourceful aggression from the side of GAM. Great side lane plays. So maybe GAM's going to change a little bit more in that direction. Maybe see Cerberus with the 2 Korean players is going to try to adapt a little bit more of a conservative LCK style. But when 5 players are knocking at your towers at 5 minutes, you are going to get kills one way or the other. So I don't think it's going to change.
I've got a question for both of you. With the new meta that's kind of happened due to the patch, and we're starting to see a lot more enchanters in the bottom lane, what do you think are the chances that every single game day we still get an Alistair?
Now, I'm not sure about Alistair, but yeah, every game day. It won't be every series anymore. We won't be the Vietnam Cow series.
Yeah.
We'll just have a flavouring of cow. We won't be all cow.
I think Nautilus is the bigger offender. We even see a lot of Nautilus still in LPL, from what I've seen, and he's still horrible. So let's see how many Nautilus ins we have to endure on our stream. Probably a lot of them. But I am hopeful that we're going to see great Enchanter play, because we have so many former mechanically gifted players moving to support now, with Zuha, with Xin. B has always been great in terms of mechanics. Taki, of course, mechanical god. So a lot of these players are probably very good laners on Enchanted champions as well. So I'm hopeful for more bot lane action 2v2. And Hugh, of course, yeah, good mention from VFin here. Hugh has always been the better Enchanter in the CVS lineup, so maybe it's his time to shine again, alongside Artemis, of course. Yeah.
Just quickly before we move off meta, Belveth. This champion is useless.
Okay,
Wait,
that's a strong claim.
Okay,
this champion is
against you on that one.
This champion's really, really good at doing what it wants to do. But if this champion gets outranged, which is very possible for this champion to get outranged, we've seen Corkis, we've seen Azirs in the meta, even in VCS, we've seen Corki Azir. And if it gets outranged, it doesn't pop off. And it doesn't do what it wants to do. It wants to true damage through your tanky champion and laugh at them as it does 5 attacks with its spinny arms in a second. And this champion, if it gets outranged, can just be outplayed. And we've not seen teams completely outmeta it, but bear in mind that people are comparing this champ to Yi. When does Yi see play in pro play?
Okay, Milky, your stance?
When Taric mid exists for the Yi to funnel with, I think there was a pro game where that happened. That's the last time I remember seeing it. But my counterpoint to what you said about Belveth is, with a VCS, we play Alistair and Renekton. They don't have range, so Belveth still works. And
True, this is like
70% damage reduction.
Yeah, their E-spell is pretty good. it's rather decent.
I don't want to disagree with these, because the points that he made are accurate, but I've still seen Belveth doing work in LEC. Like, I think it was Xerxes who played some Belveth, and it was just
Arutu. But he didn't really do much, he just stole some kills.
Yeah,
exactly. It looked good. It got the eye test.
I'd say I conceptually agree with you. I think Belveth, once she's in line in terms of win rate, is never going to see pro play ever again. Because her kid is not very pro play prone, I guess. Not very great for what pro play champions want to do. We rarely see super late game scaling junglers that have a weak early game in pro play ever, because it's just so hard to pull off. Pro play is all about information. Jungle is mostly a facilitating role. Anyway, I mean, you have Viego, but he has a decent early game and can escape sticky situations with his ultimate all the time. So I feel like you're definitely on something there. Once she's in line, I think as long as she's ultra OP, people are still gonna do it just because, especially, I think she's a good option for teams that are underdogs. Just take Belveth. Maybe the enemy team is doing something stupid. Maybe they get some random kills in a fight or something, and then you have a broken champion in the late game. Maybe you can cheese the game against Gum, or maybe not quite Gum, but maybe Saigon Buffalo. I can see Saigon Buffalo running headless into a Belveth. She gets 5 kills, and suddenly the game is unwinnable. So I feel like until she gets nerfed, she's gonna get picked.
What you said you'll wait. I feel like you could say that about any champion. You pick this champion, enemy team runs at you 5 members head first and all die, and the game's over.
But it's more extreme with a champion that scaled so insanely well, right? I mean, I do agree with you, Beast. In the end, I'm a big proponent of just looking at range, because in the end, she's a melee carry, and melee carries in pro play are just so insanely hard to pull off. So I think we're going to see her maybe for the first month of VCS, and then she's slowly going to fade away.
Now, I will asterisk this. We are the VCS. 8-minute Herald flips happen every game.
Exactly.
And Belveth makes 8-minute Herald flips more important. So, it could be that Belveth just happens to be the perfect fit for VCS.
Okay, so I want to go off that then, and go on a bit of a tangent with this, which is, which teams do we think have the strongest top jungle or top jungle mid that could then utilize Belveth and essentially say, hey, we're really good on the top side of the map. We're always going to have priority for Rift Heralds?
There's a cheat answer.
Don't say Gab, okay?
Yeah. I mean, I could see someone like Wales going for this strategy, because Killer Queen has always been the crazy Graves jungler, right? He's just farming and then also invading all the time. I could see Killer Queen running into the enemy jungle level 4 with Belveths for no reason whatsoever, useless as you can only dream of, and then still getting a kill because the enemy jungler is so confused seeing a level 4 Belveth invading him.
So I want to go with, I actually think one of the strongest top sides we have might be Genius Esports, because let's not forget, Coated always plays early game top laners, like pretty much all the time. And apparently Yijin, as I'm informed, is a former VCS winner, so he must be fair.
But not really his style.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think Yijin was super famous for Skarner, for example. Like he won finals against Levi picking Skarner in game 5, and had very good supporting junglers. I mean, he has had a really long career, so he's played multiple styles, but I always thought of Yijin as a very strong control jungler. Maybe someone like...
So we're going to see him on Volibear now.
Maybe. Yeah, something like that. Skarner, Trundle, Volibear, all that kind.
So, for strong top sides, we do have one team that's
SBTC.
Definitely SBTC. We have Deer 1 back, and I'm trying to remember if you've ever cast a Deer 1 game. This guy, he made stuff work that just shouldn't work. Oh, it's the VCS final, so I'm playing against a pretty good team, right? So let's play Tristana mid and just dominate the game. Oh, we're winning the game? But we fell behind. Oh, let me just casually 1v3 get a triple kill, basically in the enemy's nexus, and just win. Just win the 1v3. Because why not? Because it's Deer 1.
So, I think we have to explain to Milky the full extent of Dia 1, and how Dia 1 was once the player he was the only player we talked about. So this was back in 2020.
For me and Eddie.
And no, that's not even comparable. So I'll let Beast take over the stat side, if you still remember the number of solo kills he had in that one split. Because
thing is
you have to understand, Milky. We're not talking about some returning player who once showed greatness. No, we're talking about the consensus best player of the league by a long shot when he played that year.
Okay,
it was not even close.
Literally, Return of the King.
So let me put into perspective just how nuts Tier 1 was. Levi became an AP jungler one trick because his mid lane AD characters were so good, it didn't matter what Levi had to become the dog role because it was just that valuable to have Tier 1 on either his Tristana, his Pantheon, which I think went undefeated and ended up just having to be a permaban. Like, Pantheon mid had to be a permaban, and his Jace, which I don't think that one went undefeated, but all three were just so good. Levi ended up playing mostly AP junglers the entire split. This guy
Okay,
walked.
I have a bit of confusion I want to put in quickly. Does this mean that if I see a Jace get drafted, I should be excited?
I
This
love
means
Jace. I'm not
Jace
sure
can be
why
flexed.
everyone hates Jace so much.
It's just become a meme that no one knows why it's become a meme at this point, to be honest.
So we mentioned Yule mentioned the solo kill numbers. I'm gonna have you guess. So for the entire year, it was Garm. So he
The
played
entire year or a split?
95 games. 95 games in the
Right.
year, and he was playing top of VCS. And let me think, this was 2020, so no international events. There was that little thing with PCS, but that was 4 games. So mostly just VCS.
So I'm going to base this off the fact that in Spring Split this year, Kiaya got the most solo kills, which we were quite impressed by, and I think it was 31, I want to say. And how many games do we have in Spring? Oh, God. Well, we've got 18.
Assume it's similar.
So 7, 14. Okay, so I'm gonna go with double. So how many games did you say were in that year? Year one?
95.
9,
95.
95. I'm gonna go with 170.
Wait, that's 4 times.
Wait, no, 95 times 2.
So he had 80 solo kills in the
Okay.
95 games. For reference, Kiaya had nearly 1 solo kill per game. So Kiaya is slightly higher, but bearing in mind that this is literally an entire year when he was being target banned like Pantheon mid. I think
Also,
he tanked like 3 bans in all of his semi-final games.
as far as
Like,
I remember, in the MVP split, I think it was spring 2020, he had something like 40 solo kills in, I don't know, 30 games. So
44 solo kills.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he was
Bloody
number
hell.
1 worldwide. He had more than any other player in the world, even including the 50-game LPL play. So there is, I think, for some people, I mean, Tier 1 has had some dips as well in performance, and then he got banned, so no one knows his level, but the potential, the ceiling is something you can never understate, because this player really changed the way we are talking about the game. Every DR1 game, every GUM game, we said, observers need to look at mid lane because he's level 6, he's gonna get a solo kill. It was such a constant thing in his games. He just hit
So-
level 6 and got a solo kill every single game. It was insane. If you ask
I
Kerix
feel
about
like-
it,
I feel like what you guys are trying to tell me is that for my predictions, I shouldn't care about the fact that SBTC have Vinboys and DNK on their team. It doesn't matter because Tier 1 is going to solo carry this so hard.
it's hard to say. It's just the ceiling, the P word, the potential word is there. It could happen. It could also just fizzle out and be nothing because he has had, a long pause in between.
Yeah.
And
Because you might have noticed as well, we did sort of ignore spring 2021.
Let's not talk about
that
this one.
split was a big step down, and we hope that that's not the trajectory he's going to be on. We hope it's like Artifact, where he had a split where he did have a step down, but he bounced back, and last split he was really good. We hope that's the same thing for Tier 1.
So I think he's probably my number 1 player to watch because he could bring so much excitement to the league. Milky, do you have one you want to put forward as your number 1 player? Don't say Eddie, please.
A player to watch? No, because we're already watching Eddie, so I don't need to tell everyone to watch Eddie now, because everyone already knows. See, I would be really tempted to say Killer Queen because we know
He's
how
always a
aggressive
player
Killer
to
Queen
watch.
is.
That's very true.
Exactly. And we all know it's impossible for Killer Queen to miss a Lee in queue because every single one of them somehow lands. But honestly, you guys have really sold me here. And I don't think I can go off this Dia 1 narrative. Apologies to anyone who might be tuning in to an SBTC cast now, because I'm just going to be harping on about Dia 1. And if he doesn't do well, I'm going to be flaming you live on broadcast. But no.
Oh
No,
man,
Dia
the
1,
narratives write themselves. We have a Spot and DR1 on one team. If they ever play together, that's the cursed duo.
No,
The Forsaken
what has
Sons of
happened I should know
VCSB. I mean,
Now,
both of them had been
yeah.
banned for a considerable
okay.
time. Both of them a year, I believe. So both of them hugely hype players. DR1 actually showed that he was worth the hype. Spot, well,
Didn't.
kind of last
At least
split.
not from what I saw of him last split. He didn't.
He was decent. Let's see. Maybe Spot DR1 is the new mid jungle combination that challenges Gum and SGB. Who knows?
Very quickly, because I know you want to move us on your way. Do you think we're going to be getting DNK or Spot? Because I thought we'd be getting Spot last split, but we got a lot more DNK than we did Spot, I feel.
They transitioned towards Spot more in the end, if I remember correctly. It was mostly 50-50. I think they're just going to go with whatever works best in scrims. I could actually see DNK working decently with DR1, because DR1 is just so demanding and such a huge figure on the Rift. I think Spot is a little bit more headstrong than DNK. I'm not entirely sure about that one after seeing Spot play. But
I'm pretty sure what happened was that Spot played mostly C games, DNK played mostly VCS, and in the end, I think both of them played like 1 or 2 games difference. I think it was like 30 games to 27.
Yeah,
like
it was pretty
level
50-50.
They played basically the same amount of games. It just happened to be that because Spot played mostly C games, you didn't see it as much. Now, the issue with me for choosing one player to watch is that there's too many players. There's too many good players. I could say anyone on GAM and people would be happy. I could say Artemis bouncing back after a rough benching level end of the split last split. But I think I have to go for the objectively correct answer, and that's Shogun. Shogun was a player that we came out of into MSI going, okay, Shogun's all right, but this team's going to be carried by Hazmed and Taki, and let's hope that B&J and Froggy show up because Froggy could get capped. Nobody mentioned Shogun, either on the positive or negative side, and then he showed up and didn't have a single bad game.
He was so good.
14 games against T1, RNG, G2. Didn't matter who he's playing. He was just one of the best players on the split, on the Rift, and he can bring that form into VCS. He's MVP caliber. Like, for sure MVP caliber if he can bring that form into VCS. And at the same time, if he goes back to being that, he's there, he's good player, SGB could drop as low as 4th because of the elsewhere roster improvements and just CES putting the pieces back together.
I'll give you all another player if you want. Lucky, do you have another one?
So I already mentioned Killer Queen, and Beast mentioned Artemis. I do think that's actually a really good one because Artemis bouncing back and
always interesting.
Again, going back to the whole patch change and the game changes that we have with the durability patch. Let's not forget we had that one split where Artemis had played so many different champions. We saw Artemis's Twitch, and Twitch is really strong right now. So I think Artemis is going to be absolutely massive this split for Cerberus. I think he will step up. Aside from that, do I have anyone else? You know what? I'm gonna go out there, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of flame for this, because this is a player that I've always thought has been good, but everyone has always said it's terrible. Actually, Yuloi, do you know who I'm gonna say?
I have a suspicion.
Who do you think?
Raktha?
No, I'm not Rebel. Palette. Palette was a very good support from what I was told. Then he had a very bad winter split. And I think spring split with SBTC really started to pick up. And yet we saw like quite a few flashes of brilliance from Palette. The support that was part of Team Flash when they won the VCS back in 2020. So Palette with Dia 1, if Spot is playing well, who knows what we could see.
I think I have
Palette was definitely a good choice.
Yeah, I
Palette
think
was
I have a
definitely
team
good choice.
to watch more than a player to watch, but I'm going to mention that it's the whole team, but single in on one of the players to not go out of the segment, I guess. Because for me, Genius Esports is last chance saloon, the team, for a lot of the players. And I think I'm going to go with actually Slader. Yijin is another one, definitely, for many reasons, many bad reasons, some good reasons, but many bad reasons as well. But I'm actually going to look at Slader again. He was once the best ADC. He came back and looked, not great, not terrible, but didn't really seem to find his form again. And to be fair, ADC level is so much higher now than in 2020 when he won the league, but I think his level also dropped a bit. But if this team wants to fight for players, Slader needs to be one of the most reliable carries. Kota is not going to be reliable. We know that for sure. He's going to have good games. He's going to have horrible games. Yijin is not really a carry player. Blazes is decent, but also not the number one carry you should rely on, I feel like. So Slader really has to be the one you're putting all the eggs into, the basket you have to put all the eggs into. So I want to keep my eyes on Slader for one more split, give him one more chance. He's a 2-time VCS champion, and I think he deserves the credit and also the respect, but only for one more split.
So I'm going to complete all 8 teams that we're hyped for, because we've mentioned everyone but ASC now.
Okay.
And I'm going to mention from earlier, this bot lane of Easy Love and Zin.
Thank you.
I think this is going to be Senna permaban territory. Easy Love has 7 Vladimir games in his career. He has 7 Swain games. He already has Yasuo ADC games. And Zin's a role swap ADC who can very, very well play the Senna and use that ranged auto-attacking skill that he already has. This bot lane is probably going to have Senna permabanned against them.
See them pick Kaiser Braum in the first.
Oh, yeah, of course. I've cursed it now. They're going to play Kaiser or Split, but I really do think that this team is going to be one of the scariest Sennas they have. And
so, if I could just go on that further, because I think there is a really cool narrative around EC Love as well. This is a player who has won regular season 3 times. Yes, was subbed to Blazes at GAM in spring 2020 and got subbed out to Style in spring 2021. So he's never actually lifted the trophy. And the one time that he was playing in playoffs for GAM was when they lost to Flash in summer 2020. So I think Easy Love has a lot to prove, because every time he has been in for GAM, from what I've seen statistics-wise, he has performed well. And now he is that starting ADC, and he has another chance to prove himself. And I think there will be almost a desperate desire to do that for him.
Yeah, I think just the story of Easy Love and Zin playing together in lane is just super funny, because they are both the same player. The ADC, they're filled with super strong GAM team that never played through bot lane. Both Zin in 2019 and then Easy Love in 2020 filled this role of ADC in GAM, but never actually got any attention. Now GAM is actually a strong bot lane team with Style and B, but back in the day, back in 2019 and 2020, GAM bot lane was a meme. GAM top side, I should say, was Kiaya Levi, so they won every game. DR1 or Carty in there, so they won every game even harder. And then bot lane was 2k behind, but the rest of the team was 7k ahead, so who cared? So that's the 2 rejects together. It's just fun storyline. So I'm very excited for that one. But let's finally move on to the power rankings. We have already teased some opinions here and there, and I don't think we're going to go into super detailed views of all the teams. But let's start with just saying our 4 players prediction, and then we can sort
the freebie. I'm taking the freebie. I've got GAM. There we go. I have no
now you started to speak,
now.
Beast. You have to tell us all 4 of your teams now.
Well, obviously GAM. Now, I do have a coin, and I think this is the most accurate measure between
Get Spinny Wheel out with like 5 other teams.
SBTC making playoffs and not making playoffs. realistically, I should really do this for Cerberus and say this team fixes its issues and it doesn't. But I'm going for SBTC. So
Gum.
And SBTC are not making playoffs. So my four are Gam, Cerberus, Saigon Buffalo, and Secret. And the order...
Secret.
I don't have to say the order right now, but Secret took Saigon Buffalo to 5 games. They're a really good team. We are the Eddie fan club, and you're going to be outvoted if you say that Secret are not going to make playoffs. They're just really good.
Eddie overrated.
You see, you are a heretic.
President of the Eddie fan club, and I've just been getting Eddie hate for so long, and Eddie's just been delivering, and I just let Eddie's actions
delivering that 4th place, really nice.
It was 3rd place,
Third.
Okay, right? They 3-0'd Cerberus your way, and they took Saigon Buffalo to 5 games before, for some reason, everyone decided to win it in the 5th game. But yeah, that happened.
Sure.
It was a close series, so I will move on to my predictions. Obviously, we have to put Gam at the very top. Now, everyone listening in Twitch chat, everyone watching the YouTube, get your flamethrowers out and prepare to flame me. What I will say, though, to preface all of this, is that I think there are 5 teams after Gam ignoring AS. Actually, I think 6 teams. Oh, no, sorry, not Genius Esports. So I think the other 5 teams are all very close in that battle for second. I think Cerberus takes second. I think Cerberus fix their issues that they've had having Drakthar in. Yes, Drakthar isn't as insane as Ego, but I think it's going to be good enough with Yada, with Artemis stepping up. So I think Cerberus take second. Then, you know what? I'm going to change it. Before I had Wales in third, but I'm going to switch that around. I'm going to put Team Secret third because I am the president of the Eddie fan club. And as I said in spring of the split, I think this was a team that came together and had to ramp up over the course of the split. And they did exactly that. And I think they're going to keep on getting better throughout the split. So I think Artifact just showed just how good he was. We saw a lot of great stuff from Hero as well. And we talk about the new meta, we talk about Enchanted support. Well, Zuhao played so much Renat in the last split and showed just the fact that he was willing to play Enchanted, so I think that'll work well for them. And then 4th is essentially between, well, SBTC, Team Wales, and Saigon Buffalo. And initially, I would have put Saigon Buffalo behind Wales, but having done some thinking, this is still a very young roster from Saigon Buffalo. And Shogun just had his first full split. We saw how good he was. And I think that these guys are just going to get better and better, especially considering they've come off an international event. So flipping what I thought before, I think Saigon Buffalo will take that final playoff spot.
So can you repeat your top 4 again?
It's Gam, Cerberus, Secret, Saigon Buffalo.
And for me, it's Gam, Saigon Buffalo, Secret as third as well, and then Cerberus 4th. I think they'll probably try pun a couple of games, and then that'll put them down to 4th, even though I think they might be a better team than Secret.
Yeah, I have a really hard time choosing my number 4. I think...
Gam, I flipped a coin.
Yeah, Gam was obviously number 1. I do put a lot of faith still into Saigon Buffalo after watching their bot lane be such a huge threat as well now. I think the mid jungle might actually run into some issues again, especially considering there's some veteran junglers returning to the game. Yijin, for example, Drakthar now in Cerberus. DR1 is coming in, DR1 Spot or DR1 DNK might be a dangerous duo, especially if Froggy can't lane against DR1. I think there could be a course for SPTC to actually upset SGB. But I think with Ren, with Taki and Shogun, they're just too good, too aggressive, too cohesive to not make playoffs. Maybe not second, but I'm going to rank them second, just out of faith and love for Ren, I guess. I do think SPDC is a scary team. The only problem I have is their ADC, and I'm an ADC main, so having a not so great ADC is always a little bit of a tanker for me, but I think they're going to be the 3rd best team in the league Then number 4 is where I really struggle. I put Cerberus in the spreadsheet right now, but I actually want to put Secret over Cerberus. So let me change that to Secret.
Eddie over Artemis Supremacy, let's go.
No, absolutely not, obviously not. But I feel like Cerberus is on a downward trajectory. I think Pun, I'm not a big Druktha believer. I don't like the POS leash policy too much. Yado, Ronapi, not so sure about him anymore. So I feel like Cerberus has too many things they have to fix.
This is the thing with Cerberus.
Yeah.
We could see them completely fix their issues because they changed jungle and they play POS instead of Pun. And they come second. They could also bring in Leash and POS, and then the team can't communicate because they've got 2 Koreans in the top jungle. And then Yado was 5 and 13 on picks that weren't named Ari. So Yado does not that great. And Artemis continues his form from the end of the split. And this team could come 8th. I could see Cerberus all the way from 2nd, all the way to 8th. This is why I flipped a coin. I have no idea where Cerberus is.
It's really hard to predict. I agree with you.
I'm the same. Like, I don't think they'll be 8th, but I think they will be possibly 6th. And
I don't think Artemis can lose a game to EasyLove in his life. It's not possible for him to.
Okay,
it's just not possible.
I might go 7th. That is a good point.
He could just lock in Twitch and 1v5 ASE, I think. So I can't see them losing to ASE. I think to kind of look at the other side of the rankings, ASE is my last place. I do like the storyline for their bot lane, but I just can't see them overtaking a lot of the other, especially mid-jungle. Maybe Hyo is super good and might actually be able to compete with Levi, BeanJ, DNK, Killer Queen, all these junglers. But I don't think their mid laner is up to par. I don't know much about LLT. I need to watch some games.
He played Tristana against Nah. That's all you need to know.
True. That's nice. Though I don't really like top lane or in mid lane. But
Neither did Nah.
Yeah, true. So I think they're my last place team. I do think Wales is gonna be. They have potential. I do think if everything clicks for Wales, they might be a playoffs contender. But I think there's too much that has to go right for them. There are too many coins they have to flip. Every coin, I think if they flip heads 4 times, maybe. But
there's a maximum of 2 coins. Killer Queen being the main coin, and then I think probably Glory being the other coin. I think
the issue is
CBL is another one. I think
Ariety after a split on the bench. Like, where's his motivation?
Was good for Saigon Buffalo.
Yeah,
like, when he was switching with Shogun, he was a solid ADC.
True.
Yeah, that is true. It is still a question mark.
But ADC is a really strong role, and he was not a carry. He was solid, but not really much more. So even if he's solid again, there's still so many better ADCs.
But remember when Luxury actually, when they made it into playoffs in winter, it wasn't any particular player really popping off, except for Killer Queen, who was absolutely incredible.
And the top side was great.
ADC, they had Vit in the bottom lane. I mean, Vit and Shine. Like, you'd rather have anyone rather than Vit and Shine.
Yes.
To be honest, with how they were playing. So it's why I still have faith in Team Wales, because Wales and back then versus Sky, they were the teams that were more than the sum of their parts and just had that kind of cohesion that made them work.
Yeah, I can see your point. I feel like the problem with Coated compared to Nagia, while Coated has the downside of being the biggest coin flip of all time, he also has the upside of being a coin flip, while Nagia is just 70% of Coated's best level. So on average, you're getting a better player, but Coated in winter was really strong, especially at the start of winter. Remember, they went 6-1 in round 1 in winter, and then not so great in round 2, had a losing record in round 2, just barely scraped into playoffs by, or not actually that bad. I think they had 9 wins in the end, but 6 of them were in the first part. So they already saw a downturn at the end of winter, then spring was not great either. So I don't think Nagia really brings the 100% of Coated, ever. I don't really see them spiking enough to get to players. Maybe I'm wrong. Beast, what's your take on Wales?
Here's the thing. I agree with the positives both of you have said. I still have them 8th.
Eighth.
The issue is the league has progressed so much.
True.
Like I mentioned earlier, but all of the top 5 teams, I know that Milky, you have Wales 5th, but all of my top 5 from SBTC upwards, all of these teams, any other year, you're looking at finals easily. Easily. And it's not even a question. CES won the split. Saigon Buffalo are in 2 finals. Deer 1, I think, made like 3 finals in a row before he moved to SBTC. And
I feel like I can agree with all of the teams making finals. Like AS Esports, I can say, okay, look, there's loads of wildcards in that. I can see them doing that. But I cannot see Genius Esports making finals.
No.
I could see them making playoffs, but not
I'm meaning the top 5, not ASE.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is the thing with the bottom 3. All of the bottom 3, this is probably the strongest bottom of the table we've ever had. It's just that the top's so high up that this might be the biggest overall step forward, because every team has looked at Gamma and gone, we have to do something big to compete with this. And like the smallest amount of change is Saigon Buffalo. But Shogun has shown a massive increase in form for MSI, and they've got MSI performance, like they've got confidence from that. They'll have improved from that. That there isn't a team in the top 5 I can see one of these new teams beating. And then obviously the question becomes, of the 3, which do you put over the top? I think AS, I've mentioned a few times now, I think that they're just going to run with Senna, get a few wins from that. They have rookies that, honestly, that it's rookies. They could be not as good as I think they are. But the last time we saw a team with 3 rookies come into the VCS, it was Saigon Buffalo, and they came second that split and took the split by storm. And BJ, I think, got top 3 in his rookie split in MVP votes. So I could see that happening just as easily this split. And I think if they played at that level where the SBTC rookies come in, I think they're 6th. I think that the level that finals was in 2021 spring is now just 6th place, you barely missed relegations. I think that's how much the league's progressed.
I agree with you, yeah. The level has progressed so much, especially in some of the roles that traditionally weren't so great in VCS. Looking at support, a few years back, support was misery. Like, I was having to look at supports running it down every single game. Now support is a really contested and strong role here. ADC is another role. Well, GAM won the league with Style when Style was still really bad. They had Shine and did alright when Shine was in GAM. Shine, excuse me.
I mean, just look at the players who've retired. We have
Exactly.
Null coaching ASE this split. Null went to MSI with Buffalo and has already retired and moved into coaching. Look at Big Koro, Legend, Colossal Koro, Big Koro, Massive Koro, big MSI performance, and he's moved into coaching for Saigon Buffalo. Not even a head coach, by the way. He's Saigon Buffalo's, Young Buffalo's head coach, I believe. I don't even think he's like a head coach. Like, the level has progressed so much in the VCS just through generation of new talent that it's ridiculous how quickly the league's developing. And especially when you look at other leagues where it's like LCS has stagnated for 3 or 4 years.
Oh, the copium is coming.
VCS looks really good, but then they lose Flash Wolves, so they don't get the MSI performances, and they lose Doggo. And you're always laughing because you can see where this is going, can't you? VCS is on track to become a major region.
Oh no!
Genuinely,
the
they're getting a new. They're getting a new stadium. This is my hottest take. Don't worry. They're getting a new stadium next split. We've learned this. Nowhere else in the world are they getting new stadiums apart from LPL. So there's money going into the scene when every other scene is starting to cut back. Then we've seen the level of the league develop continuously. And we're seeing that the second seed from VCS can now be competitive when they're having like Oh, it was a bad Rumble stage start for them, and they're still competitive, and they're still 2-0ing LGL, which was the best minor region last year. Now, do I think it'll happen quickly that VCS becomes a major region? No. It's still probably years away, but I genuinely think that on current trajectory, there's not really any reason for them not to become a major region. And GARM's going to be a big part of this. If GARM show up to Worlds and do, because obviously this might be an entire topic on its own, but where do we think that GAM's going to end up if they get to Worlds? Obviously, they're a Pool 3 team, which means they could
wait. We should probably delay this to a later day, because there was quite a bit of opium over there.
This is a hot copium take. This is a very hot, very
some late night drug abuse over in the UK. Milky, speaking of over in the UK, Milky, let's end it here with your take on Genius, because you are. Beast and I have been following the VCS for a longer time. We've seen the improvements over the time. We have seen many players go in and out of the league very quickly. Genius, however, has a lot of returning players, a lot of older players, and you're not super familiar with them, so maybe you're not quite as biased in one way or the other compared to us two. So what's your take if you look at this Genius roster? We have 2 or 3-time champion Yijin, I think 3-time champion Yijin. We have Blazes, multiple playoff performances, Slater, 2-time champion, and then Coated and Biop rounding out the lineup. So, if you see them, do they not have any chance of getting to the playoffs?
So, for me, I think Genius Esports are the coin flip team of this split. I think every single role that I look at, I'm very unsure as to what to expect. Coated, I've seen Coated being an incredible top laner back in Winter Split, and I've also seen him being effectively the Alfari of the VCS, getting those leads in the early stages, and then where's my top laner for the rest of the game? Yijin, I've heard so much about now being, a multiple VCS champion, but he's had a couple of splits out, so how does he come back in? Blazes, again, really good mid laner when you look back to Winter Split, probably one of the top 3, if not top 2 mid laners of that split. And then last split, it was okay, what on earth was he doing for Luxury? Slater had an iffy spring split, and I think there was one point where I essentially thought Slater and Artie were the best bot lane duo, but that was when they were playing Lucian Nami, and it was like, haha, we found Lucian Nami, we can win all of our games now as Team Flash, and then ban the Lucian. Oh, we don't know how to win games anymore. So I don't know what to expect from Slater, and Bizbo is that question mark, and maybe Bizbo will be able to unleash Slater back to his full potential. So I think Genius, there's so much coin flip there that I don't think everything can coin flip the right way. So it's why I'm having them 7th, essentially.
Yeah. I think that's the conservative, but also the good approach. I have them slightly higher. I have them 6th. I think I put them above the Whales. For me, looking at all these rosters, there's a lot of potential. There's also a lot of potential for failure, both in SPTC as well as in Genius. There's a lot of potential in ASE, who I don't really expect to do much, but who knows? Rookies are always exciting. One thing to temper expectations compared, going back to the comparison you made, Beast, with SGB, I'd say we did hear stuff about Taki and BJ before they even played in VCS, if I remember correctly. They were quite hyped coming in, especially Taki from the solo queue and stuff, so I'm not entirely sure if we can really expect the same from LLT and Hyo, but we have to say these 2 players, or at least LLT, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, Hyo as well, they did go to the promotion tournament, and they swept aside almost everyone. They were number 1 team in the promotion tournament, qualifying, with 2 wins. So at least they're the best of the rest, and compared to some of the bottom teams from last split, they should be better. The overall level of the league, even if they end up 8th place, should still be very, very good, and I'm excited for the split.
Now, You did bring up solo queue, and it's like a lawyer. I couldn't talk about it until you mentioned it. But all of ASE's players hit mastering career at minimum. Hugh, one of the rookies, hit GM 450 LP, and Uzi there, and that's OUZI, not Uzi UZI. Has also hit GM. So they do have some big solo queue aspirations to fill in the VCS.
Well, let's hope they're going to be able to transition some of that solo queue success over. At least good mechanics are always going to go a long way. Win some fights, maybe not all games against all the teams, but potentially some upsets here and there. But with that, I think we are going to close out the podcast. Lasting or parting words for on 2 days or 3 days if you're watching live, 2 days if you're watching on YouTube, because we're going to start on Thursday. It's a 4-day week again. Thank you, yes, very much for that. Very hard to fill, but we're going to make it happen. Going to try our best to bring you every single game starting this Thursday. So Milky, please, just one sentence. What are you looking forward to the most with VCS starting this week?
The return of Yoshino to dominate the top lane.
Wow.
One second.
Beast, what about you?
I think I'm in stunned silence.
Talk about easy love.
Team Secret versus SGB on Sunday is going to be a banger, but also SGB versus Cerberus and GAN versus SE, and every game's a banger realistically.
Hear that? Tune in. Not to see Yoshino, at least not on the Rift, but you can see Yoshino going crazy in the Discord server, so go ahead and join the Discord, because honestly, that's the best thing that could ever happen. Yoshino might now be even more unleashed than last split, which is hard to believe, because he dropped some bombs on us.
Oh no.
And his face. But let's see what he does this split, so get hyped for Thursday. We are back. VCS is back. And remember, this week is no Western League. So you can actually watch or put all your attention on VCS because we are finally back. 1 kill per minute. I'm promising you some action. And I think it's very easy for the VCS teams to fulfill that promise. With that, we're signing off. See you all on Thursday.